Yeah, we actually have a contact on the board of MicroStrategy that we met recently, and they sort of coach companies. How can we sort of model up that MicroStrategy approach? I mean, to be honest, I mean, we're a nano cap, we're tiny, but we're growing, and every cycle we're bigger and bigger. So the goal is to eventually, get to like 1/100th of that level. That would be a win. So we're pushing in that direction. But yeah, I love the model, and I think it works well for them. And he has an underlying software business. We have this underlying proof of stake business. It's sort of similar. At the end of the day, we're pushing up to our Bitcoin treasury. A lot of companies are going to start doing that. I mean, Bitcoin is the one that we can count on over cycles, and to do it with anything else, I think is just sort of a shiny new pump in one cycle.
Hi, Cale, how are you?
Good. How's it going? Nice to be back.
Good, good. Yeah, for those listening to us today, if you want to learn more about Cale and Neptune Digital Assets, you can go and watch in the link below our previous episode where we went through your business model and your Bitcoin and crypto story, basically.
Yeah, I forget when was that? It was some time ago, but a lot's changed
Yeah.
since then. We have Bitcoin running this morning. It's looking pretty impressive, approaching 93,000. So, did we anticipate that? That's the question. What were our
I
timing
mean,
models on our last conversation? I forget.
it was like 6 months ago. Bitcoin was not in a great shape, but wasn't. It was out of the crypto winter
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, I was holding
Uh,
steady. I think it was like sitting at 45 to sort of 60 range.
yeah,
And I guess that was post ETFs getting approved. So it was sort of doing its consolidation thing before post halving and before the cycle really kicked in here. So it looks like things are kicking in, and we're approaching that sort of exciting 6 month period where the sky's the limit here.
yeah, and it has been a bull run that was very long in the making because we've been like we saw levels very high in 2021. And then a crypto winter that came for the wrong reasons, basically, because FTX and all the blow-ups around the crypto projects had nothing to do with coins. So, and now we're back. So hopefully,
Yeah.
I've read on Twitter someone tweeting that like everybody talks about the halving and how it's usually reduces the supply and therefore increases the price. But I think the halving is a great catalyst because it is timed too with the U.S. elections. So every 4 years we
Yeah,
have that.
it's really weird. I feel like we're in this perfect storm where everything is sort of coming together just perfectly. We have dropping interest rates. We have the U.S. administration shift to a pro crypto government. We have the halving in the taillights now, and it just seems like everything's sort of working in our favor. Knock on wood that it continues, but it's pretty exceptional timing for everything. So, you know, I think we can we can expect a pretty exciting 6 to 12 months. And it's interesting you were talking about 2022, and you know we had these devastating events where FTX and Terra Luna and sort of wiped out the whole market. I wonder if we still have the same bear market timing if we don't have those sort of cataclysmic defaults. So it's interesting to see what this cycle will bring because I would hope that the sector is a little more careful. We don't have this massive centralization of these high risk traders, and maybe we don't have the devastation we had in 2022 on repeat, and maybe that extends this bull cycle. Something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, there is this factor in, but I also believe like we're still like the market hasn't yet priced in this huge shift in investors' psychology that is going to step in once, I mean, the what Trump has announced and if and when it will be implemented is huge from in just a random investor psychology basis,
Yeah.
and I believe like these elections and Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve fund project and all his pro crypto stance is going to definitely shift the psychological mindset of every single investor
Yep.
to widen, I would say, in his allocation, the percentage of Bitcoin. It's not zero anymore anywhere
No,
for any investor. It's not like possible after what we
no.
have seen. But the
And
market
I think
hasn't
the
priced
ETF,
it in
the
yet.
ETFs were the ETFs reflect that, the inflows to the ETFs, it's just being mind boggling. I mean, it sounds to me from what I'm reading that they've flipped gold ETFs, that have been around for however many, 30 years or something, 25 years. I don't really know. I'm just guessing. But yeah, I mean, they flipped gold ETFs. It's a huge move. And eventually I think Bitcoin will flip gold entirely in terms of market cap. That's probably another couple cycles away, but that's where this is headed, I believe.
Okay, and I was looking forward to this conversation with you because you have a very wide crypto coverage and understanding, not only Bitcoin focused. And you were talking about the crypto winter and the Terra Luna and the FTX. And what we have seen basically in the last Bitcoin bull run is a lot of crypto bull runs that ended up really, really bad. And some of them survived, but a lot of them died during the crypto winter because
Mm-hmm.
there were flaws in their makings.
Yep.
And I feel like also from a psychological perspective, from an investors or crypto investors perspective, that the temptation is very high today to say, okay, Bitcoin is at the highest. All the other crypto projects and new crypto projects are going to show up, and we're gonna go back again to this boom and bust cycle where everybody gets excited, because we saw it in 2017 with the ICO craze. Then we saw it in 2021 with the Terra Luna stablecoins.
Yeah. The high risk DeFi stuff, which
Exactly.
was really
So
very experimental and exciting, but yeah,
so
crushed
so
everybody.
I don't see it not happening again.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, right? I'm just wondering what will it be this cycle that'll blow everybody up. I mean, this is just a reflection of why we've moved to this model that's Bitcoin centric. Obviously, so far Bitcoin has been very dominant. It's a Bitcoin dominant market right now. I mean, we've seen Bitcoin move to almost 92 this morning or 93 this morning, and the alts are like not really doing anything. They're moving up like 5% or something small, but like we just haven't seen an alt season. Is there a guarantee we'll get an alt season? I think we'll probably get an alt season, but not all projects last multiple cycles, right? We see projects die, or they have their big blowouts on the previous cycle and they never come back again. So I expect some tokens will just not perform, and hopefully we have the tokens that will perform. But our mainstay again is Bitcoin. So at the end of the day, I can trust that over time, over cycles, over years, Bitcoin is going to be around and will always be the number one token.
And I noticed like this Bitcoin dominance increasing myself too, but I also noticed it in 2021 and in 2017, and then it lost dominance because the altcoins caught up, and there are no more altcoins because at the end there are some very big established beasts out there like Ethereum is not going anywhere anytime soon. And Solana has survived quite well, although after FTX it was really in jeopardy. How do you see it going? Like the old ones getting hyped, or new ones emerging out of the blue?
Well, Solana, I mean, it's been interesting just because, yeah, that was like Sam Bankman's coin that he was gifted. I don't know if you've read his book, but it was like, oh, I got all these Solanas and they're worth like, billions of dollars now. So this locked up Sam Bankman Solana. That was interesting. But Solana's, the blockchain's great, and there's a 1,000 meme coins being made a day on the Solana blockchain. So most of them will correct to zero if they haven't already. So most of those will just be zeros at the end of this cycle. but there will be a chance to make money and flip it back into Bitcoin. We've I don't know if you remember our story, but we started with Neptune Dash. So we had like Dash master nodes because that was our first inception
Yeah,
into
I
an operating
remember.
business. And Dash was, this is just a lesson of where these things what can happen. But Dash was like 2000, I think 2000 a token in 2017 in the big run up. And, now it's like $25 and it hasn't performed again in any cycle like that. So there will be coins like that, that's just the way it goes. But rising tide floats all boats, I like to say. So all these tokens will have some sort of appreciation in the mania phase, right? Even if they're garbage and shit coins, so they'll rise up and then they will disappear.
And you mentioned Solana, but I saw quite a lot of developments. I don't know if you followed them recently on it. When you're the
Yeah, we
expert.
follow Solana. I mean, we bought 27,000 Solana from a bankruptcy sale back in the spring. So we got those at about $64 a Solana token. So we have
Oh
about
wow.
32,000 Solana now, probably a little bit more. And those are all, we self stake those as they come unlocked. So that's like probably one of our second biggest investments in tokens. So we're super bullish on Solana. I expect we'll see, I expect, and fingers crossed, hope to see it push towards, $1,000 a token this run, perhaps more.
And from a complete ignorant perspective, why do you believe that Solana has a stronger potential, or what's about its fundamentals that you like?
Well, it's just the blockchain is easy, fast, cheap, and it's just great for dApps, and of course, meme coins, which have just been spectacular this cycle. I mean, it's been, there's a meme coin for everything, absolutely everything now. So the ability to just develop your own token on the back of the blockchain is worked out really well, and it just generates more volume and more block rewards. So it's working out really well for us, I think, on this trade.
And why not Ethereum? Because you can do the same on Ethereum, right?
Ethereum's a bit of a nightmare. It's just really really expensive. I'm not a big fan of Ethereum. We have some Ethereum, but I've never been a big fan of Ethereum, other than it sort of got the game going and allowed for smart contracts, and it was the backbone you know into the DeFi space originally, but it was clunky and it was just difficult and expensive. Mainly just expensive. I mean, who wants to pay? When the peak, when the volume was just crazy last cycle, it was a transaction would be $30 or sometimes like $50. But if you're collecting a $4 reward, you have to pay a $50 fee. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. And then sort of Phantom swooped in, and Phantom was great. Phantom was one of those ones that sort of was like super fast, inexpensive, easy to use. And then we jumped on Phantom because Phantom just seemed like a game changer. I think we got into that one at $1 or something like that, and then it went to like 350, maybe $4. So I think Phantom will perform this cycle as well. I think it was a good one, and they're moving. They're moving over to Sonnet, so should be good. Yeah, Ethereum is one of those things, and then you can stake Ethereum, but the bulk rewards aren't great. So we're getting, I think, about 3% on that. And at the end of the day, we're Bitcoin centric, and we just need to see that we can make enough money to flow it back into buying more Bitcoin. And that's sort of our goal. So even if we just get it right within the cycle and are able to leverage some token to get more Bitcoin, that's great. That works for us. We don't need to hold altcoins throughout numerous cycles.
So basically, you have developed an expertise in, I would call it coin flipping, that generates money, and the profits you make, you put it into Bitcoin. So it's like one is a business and the other one is a savings.
Yeah, I would say so. But if we see potential, I mean, we've held Cosmos Atom now for 2 cycles. Actually, yeah, 2 cycles. So that's been great just in terms of reward. It's been around 15%. It's underperformed this cycle to date, so it's been a bit disappointing that way. But we've always taken the rewards we generate from Atom and flipped them into other coins. So we're always rebalancing that portfolio. And then we're also seeing, okay, relative to Bitcoin, how much are these tokens moving? Does it make sense at this point in time to take a piece? and trade it back into Bitcoin? Do we restake the rewards to build our revenues? So we're trying to optimize it all the time. But honestly, like, I wouldn't call myself the guru of doing this. I mean, a lot of it's guesswork and just sort of conservative approach to minimize risk in a super risky, volatile sector.
So what's your portfolio allocation?
Well, mostly Bitcoin. Then we'd have Cosmos Atom. We'd have
When you say
Solana.
mostly, it's like 50, 60, 70, how many percent?
I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, it would be like of our entire NAV, it would be Bitcoin would be 50 or 60%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
then
Bitcoin is everything. Yeah.
number
Yeah.
two?
Oh, number two would be Solana. Yeah. I think we
Okay.
have about $8 million with the Solana, whatever that math is, 32,000 Solana, give or take.
And third?
Third would be, I'm not sure. I think sort of a mixed bag of a number of altcoins, but probably it would be Cosmos Atom or some of our AI tokens. So we have some GRT, we have some Ocean. So, I sort of lump them together, but really the big ones are Bitcoin, Solana, and then Cosmos Atom. Those are our three top ones. And Solana and Atom generate some nice rewards for us. So that's pretty decent. But our model is, we have these two businesses. You got to imagine them flowing up. Bitcoin is the center, and we have our proof of work model, and we have our proof of stake model. And the proof of stake model is sort of a revolving portfolio where we're rebalancing, trying to optimize the income. The income is flowing up to Bitcoin. And then we have our proof of work, which is always just churning away, just mining more Bitcoin, obviously, as long as those rigs keep performing. And those two sort of crypto flow up into that top treasury of Bitcoin. And so,
Okay.
however we can optimize that, we're going to do that, and that's sort of the ideal approach for us.
And when and how do you decide when you're flipping a coin, or when you're like getting out of a position or getting into a new position?
Yeah, usually it's a number of different ways. I mean, we can get frustrated with underperformance. So if something is just not performing and it looks like it's slower than everything else in a cycle, we could determine it's just not working for us, and we could get out. News, we can read something that we don't like. Again, we have to evaluate if it's true or not. And then, what's the future look like? What sort of developments does this ecosystem have? Is there a pipeline of developments? Is there a use case? Is there, all these things have to be considered. But as you know, you don't even need any of that. It could just be a hot meme coin. It has no use case, and it can just be extremely popular. Like Doge has doubled because I found this just hilarious. The Department of Government Efficiency. Have you seen this? I was laughing so hard I was crying. I mean, it's just stuff like that. It just doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean anything, but it's Elon and it's Trump, and it's just hilarious. So, that it's going to Doge is probably going to be a great performer this cycle, even though it's just Doge. So, you also pick the trends when there's no use case. So it's actually really difficult to do. But again, you can always count on that sort of the rising tide, right? And most tokens are probably going to go up, at least 2 to 5x, as Bitcoin rises. And so we can count on some performance.
Bitcoin pushes them up with him, and they have a much higher volatility, basically, and therefore on the upside they have much more potential upside.
Yeah, and as this market gets more mature, I think we're also trying to be a little more mature in terms of our investments. We're not taking wild, crazy bets in any meaningful way. And if we do it, it's going to be immaterial. We won't even talk about it probably because it'll be such a small piece of our treasury. Maybe we put 100 grand into something that looks like, hey, well, this could maybe go 100x. But we're not going to talk about it until it goes 100x because A, we don't need to because it's not material to our financials. And B, if it fails, we just don't want to talk about it. So, so we have some wins in there, and we have had, last cycle. So hopefully we'll have some more wins it's just sort of a little bit trial and error. And that's why we want to stick to the larger market cap tokens, the ones that have some longevity, some stability, and that sort of thing. So that's good for us. Again, it's such a volatile space and it's so risky.
What do you think about all the announcements that were made by Trump and all the soon to be implemented crypto policies impact, first on the Bitcoin price and second on the crypto market in general?
Yeah, I think it really surpassed my expectations. I didn't know who was going to win the election, and I wasn't keen on really any party, but I do appreciate a supportive crypto government. So I don't believe in mega regulation. So I like the free markets, and I like a crypto supportive government. And so when I heard that, when I heard him talking about that pre-election, I thought that was great, but I didn't think it would sway things that much. So when he basically swept, he really swept the U.S. elections. I mean, it was a sweep. So they have control, and so it would be nice to see him follow through on his promises of Bitcoin reserve and support of the crypto market. And I think it's probably, he will do what's in his best interest, and I think he'll probably follow through on some of these things. And you'll have people who are pro crypto, in his ear, sort of guiding him on what to do. So I think it looks really positive. Never say never, because he's a bit unpredictable as well. So I mean, there's always a black swan potential that something can go sideways, but I think right now we're looking primed for a really sort of hot mania 2025, just in terms of the administration switch.
Okay, this begs the question about target price. So if he delivers on everything he promised, where do you think Bitcoin will go next year?
Well, I don't know. I like to keep my estimates sort of conservative, so I'm thinking like 150 to 200 is my sort of
That's
like
conservative. Okay.
conservative. But like,
That's not bad.
but I think also like nothing's off the table, because we have everything sort of lined up perfectly. So maybe we get this blow off top where it hits 500 or 750. I mean, these are possible. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I also think there's and I don't know if you've been reading about this or seeing it on Twitter as well. Not that that's necessarily fact, but seems to be a massive supply constraint coming. Whereas the inflow into ETFs is so great, and these are spot ETFs, so they need to have the Bitcoin. But where's the Bitcoin going to come from? Because at post halving, the miners are mining half as much. There just is going to be a massive supply crunch.
Yeah,
So,
what I read is that we have like all of 2024 have seen a lot of selling pressures or a lot of sellers. You had the German government, you had the Mt. Gox settlement, and you had like a lot of seizures and stuff that were selling Bitcoin because they needed to liquidate it, and they kind of offset the part of the hype of the ETF launches. And now we don't see any other sellers, basically, or other massive sellers like the one we have seen in 2024, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I don't know where the Bitcoin's going to come from, to be honest, because we're not selling. Who is selling? MicroStrategy is not selling. They're just buying. If the U.S. government starts buying as well, and retail's not paying attention yet. So you have like family offices and fund managers, investment managers allocating some to ETFs, but like the reality is that not many people are talking about Bitcoin yet. No one's noticing these rallies, other than us in the space where we think it's like we're in our own little echo chamber. But the reality is that most people don't own Bitcoin yet. Retail doesn't know, and they're going to come to the party, when it hits 150, maybe 125. But at some point in time during this market, retail is going to flow into the space, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I just think there's going to be a supply crunch.
Yeah, and talking about MicroStrategy, it's amazing how he's building more and more Bitcoin, and he even created like the Bitcoin playbook, basically. And now we have seen more and more listed companies doing the same by issuing shares at the market, raising money and buying Bitcoin with the money raised. Have you thought about it?
We have. We don't want to issue equity yet because I think it's just not compelling for our shareholders at this point in time. So we're looking at doing debt. So I don't know if you saw that press release, but we are in conversations with two parties about doing up to 25 million in debt. So we see debt to sort of get us leverage into the market quickly, or relatively quickly. But Bitcoin's moving faster than we can move, and get that leverage into the market, and then at some point in time we can raise capital using our equity when we deem it appropriate. But I don't want to blow up our cap structure. We have a really clean capital structure in the company. We did a last raise at $1.35. We're trading at about $1 today. So I won't even think about raising money through the issuance of stock for some multiples yet. So that's the easiest one for us to access, just because we have the Bitcoin now, so we have the collateral that we can borrow against.
Yeah, so basically you're gonna leverage yourself first, and then that's what he did. Basically, he leveraged
totally. And we actually
started.
we actually have a contact on the board of MicroStrategy that we met recently, and they sort of coach companies. So they have sort of a workflow sheet that we chat to them about and work through how can we sort of model up that MicroStrategy approach. To be honest, we're a nano cap, we're tiny, but we're growing, and every cycle we're bigger and bigger. So the goal is to eventually get to like one hundredth of that level would be a win. So we're pushing in that direction. But yeah, I love the model, and I think it works well for them. And he has an underlying software business. We have this underlying proof of stake business. It's sort of similar. At the end of the day, we're pushing up to our Bitcoin treasury, and and a lot of companies are going to start doing that. But Bitcoin is the one that we can count on over cycles, and to do it with anything else, I think it's just sort of a shiny new pump in one cycle, but it's not gonna take you the distance unless your treasury reserve asset is actually Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, anything else you want to us to cover, or you want to share with us? We're close to the
lots of people have been watching our SpaceX investment, so that's been kind of fun. Elon's on the main stage these days, and so that's been a good one. And we've actually, I think the SpaceX investment's doubled in value. And from what I understand is that they're doing another raise soon, which would actually
just for our audience to understand. So you have a stake in SpaceX that you were able to acquire privately,
correct?
Because SpaceX is not publicly traded.
Correct. So most of our shareholders are also sort of techie fans and Elon fans, and we thought it was a good investment. We made this, I think it was a couple of years ago, we made our first investment, and we're double our money on that. So I expect that will continue to grow.
Watch, how they caught?
Yeah, I didn't go physically there, but I did. I watched that probably a dozen times, because it's just mind blowing what he's been able to do. You don't bet against Elon. And that's been a good lesson for all the shorts on Tesla stock and everything. It's just like, if you bet, you will eventually lose. So we're betting on that technology, and SpaceX probably reaching $1 trillion company in the next 5-10 years, or even sooner, probably 5 years, I would say. It's 200 billion now, I'd say. So that's only a 5x. If they get to the moon and set up their station with whatever they're going to do up there. I think it bodes well.
How much is it valued now in your books, accounting wise? Is it like
I think we're 4.7 million. 4.7.
No, but the company SpaceX.
Oh, on their books.
Like if you multiply your valuation by the total number of shares.
Right. So we base it on our number of shares and their most recent raise. which was I think
Ah,
$112, and we have
okay.
28,000 shares. So
Okay,
yeah,
so the last raise, they were valued at like how much?
I think it was 200, and
100. Okay.
I, from what I
So
understand, they're
if it
doing
goes to
another
a
raise.
trillion, you would do 5x basically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, I got it.
sounds like a wild number, doesn't it? But I mean,
Yeah.
you know, this is the age we live in. Massive quantitative easing and fiat currencies, are sort of meaningless
Yeah,
now.
but
It's
at the
like
same
trillion.
time,
That's just a trillion.
they entered into a market. I was watching the numbers that government funded rockets used to cost like billions compared
Yeah,
to what his costs are, which are millions. It's like how is it
yeah. I
possible?
mean, it makes sense that he would be the Department of Government Efficiency, because he literally proved that the
Exactly.
government does a terrible job of managing money. Terrible. So
Yeah,
he did it far cheaper than anybody ever did it, and it's a testament to government waste. So I'm with him on that.
it's a shame that he flipped his opinion on Bitcoin because everything that he's doing, Bitcoiners have been like claiming it all the time, like government inefficiencies and
Yeah,
government size and government debt and all these
yeah,
issues are at the core of Bitcoin believers, basically.
yeah. Totally. So it'll be really interesting to see this new administration, and if Elon Musk actually plays a role in making things more efficient, because he'll probably do a good job of it. I don't know how he has time to do everything, but he
Yeah.
seems to be able to manage.
Yeah, and even tweeting as much as him, I don't know how he
Yeah.
does that.
I feel like he must have someone who just tweets on his behalf.
I don't think so because you have to have like his wits and his courage, and
Yeah,
it's like, and some of the tweets can backfire, like so.
totally.
He's always edgy. I think he does it
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And he probably doesn't have someone managing what he says. Because like
No.
sometimes it's just, way off the deep end. But he's a bit on the spectrum, and that's what people love about him, and that's what people don't like about him. So but I've always followed him. I've been a Tesla fan for years, hoping to get my Cybertruck here any day. And you know,
Ah, he ordered one.
yeah, I ordered one in 2019, 1 minute after they released the ability to order them. So I ordered one, and you know, hopefully I get it in the next week or so here.
Okay, but I'm gonna play a little bit the devil's advocate here. If he does a great job,
Yeah,
basically, and he's able to reduce government spending and reduce the debt, it will be very good for the dollar. And then bad for Bitcoin because it will the dollar will become stronger. You will not have this monetary inflation as we have seen in the past.
yeah, yeah. That's one theory. It could go that way, but also the rest of the world is in a state of disarray. So I don't know. Yes, it's sort of priced to the dollar. You could see that a little bit. Maybe that's what happens this cycle. Maybe that's what changes. It takes us back into a bear market, cleaning up of the U.S. government. But I still think the adoption is so great now, and the supply is so limited that the supply demand economics are going to play out, and we're still going to see the same cycles repeat, and we're still going to see the price of Bitcoin appreciate cycle over cycle as demand increases. And again, it's banking the unbanked around the world. People can actually have own a world currency. Whereas depending on your own government is not worked for most places in the world with fiat currencies.
Mm. Okay, Cale, thanks a lot for all these insights. We're going to have to wrap it up. And it was nice having you again on the show. And feel free to come back as soon as you have new insights to share.
Yeah, we should have some fun releases in the next 6 months. So happy to come back and chat about those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye
Take
bye.
care.